thing I've learned is that a lot of people want change. A lot of people want transformation. But the reality of it is that transformation always takes place in the mind. Be renewed in the mind. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of the mind, which means that if there is going to be a shift, there must first be a shift in your mind. There must be a Hey, Facebook world, YouTube world, social media world, what is going on? What's happening? I'm super pumped and excited about you being on the Shift Live tonight. My whole mission, you know it, is to help you shift from your now, that's where you're stuck, to your next. That's that next level. That's that next thing. That's the thing you're designed to do, be, do, and have. So that is my goal. So again, thank you so much for joining the Shift Live tonight. Here's what I need you to do. You already know it. Number one, I need you to be an evangelist and go ahead and push that like and share button, push those hearts and share this, because tonight is going to be absolute fire. Listen, your life's going to be changed for the rest of your life tonight. So you want to make sure that you let your family know, let your friends know, let everybody in your sphere of influence know that tonight they need to be on the Shift Live, because this is going to be something different. It's going to be something that's going to be phenomenal. So I need you to get on, tag some people in the comments, DM them, let them know they need to get on the shift tonight, because it's going to be life-changing. So again, thank you all for joining me. If you don't know me, my name is Tori. I'm a pastor. I'm a CEO of Go Next Global. And again, I told you earlier, my mission is to help you shift from your now to your next, which, by the way, if you don't have the book, Go Next, I want to encourage you to go grab that book, Go Next. Listen, this book is a transformational book that gives you the tools to take your life really to that place that maybe you've been stuck. You've been trying to get out of this place. You're trying to get out of this thing that you've been in. But I'm telling you, this book gives you the tools to do that. So I want you to go and get that book. The other thing that I want to mention to you is my masterclass for speakers, inspirational speakers, preachers, those that are in ministry. I want you to go to decreeschool.com. Go to decreeschool.com so that you can get on the waiting list. Listen, the last class we had last week, a couple of weeks ago, was so life-changing. The people that attended that class literally had breakthroughs from getting free from things that were holding them back from their past, that was stopping them from becoming dynamic, phenomenal speakers. And it changed the game completely for their life. So I want you to go to decreeschool.com, get on the waiting list. Now, the VIP is $297. And the general admission is $97. And on the website, you can see the difference in those two. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that today, but it's in February. February 18th and 19th is when the next masterclass is going to be. So I'm telling you, don't miss it. If you're a speaker, if you're a preacher, if you're in any type of entity where you got to get up and public speak and speak in front of people, you want to be able to have a dynamic presentation that will move the masses. And that's what we do in that particular class, in that particular session. Listen, tonight is the night you have all been waiting for. You have all been looking for. You have been hungry for what we're about to get tonight. So again, I need you to share it, because listen, Oklahoma City, right here in my city, Oklahoma City, is a blessed city, and God has done some great things and doing some great things in the city. And listen, we have some phenomenal voices right here in Oklahoma City. And one of those voices is going to be on with me tonight. I'm about to pull them up in just a second, but I am excited and I am thrilled that we are partners in ministry. We are friends, we're family. And I'm telling you, when we get together, here's what's about to happen. I'm about to bring them up, and we're about to do what we do in private. We're about to do it publicly, where we just get together and have conversations. So I want you, Shift Live family, Go Next family, to welcome none other than the apostle, the pastor, the superintendent, the bishop, none other than the elder. Listen, Jeremiah Jones. Y'all, come on. I need you to heart this up, like it up. I need you in the comments, just clapping it up and give it up for Jeremiah Jones. Dr. Jones, go ahead and introduce yourself and greet the people.
What's up, everybody? My name is Jeremiah Jones. I'm a pastor, coach, entrepreneur, teacher, preacher. So they say I am the person that's trying to be on the great level of Tory Montgomery.
Oh
And
my.
so I am excited to the Shift Live Nation, to everyone that is out there, to one of the brilliant minds and oratoricals of any information that can be understood. And that is to Tory Montgomery, one of the powerful voices of this generation and the what was to come. And I think the everlasting presence. So who he is and his excellence, I found out that in order for you to be great, you got to surround yourself with great people. And he is one that I literally surround myself with. And as he said, what we do in private, we're going to bring out in public to you guys. And listen, I'm
Yes.
excited because something amazing is about to take place. And listen, guys, you need to share this right now. This is what I call Terrific Tuesday. So you need to share this right now. If you want something terrific to happen in your life, not only in yours, but somebody else, don't be stingy. Be an evangelist. Go ahead and share this real quick and share
Yes.
the gospel, the good news of the Shift Live Nation on tonight. So I'm excited to be here, man. How
Man.
things going on your end?
Man, everything is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. If it was any better, I would swear that I was on Streets of Gold. I'm telling you that right now. It's good. It's good. It's good. Man, thank you so much for coming on. We've been trying to put this together for a minute to get
No,
to make this happen. Had a few delays, but we're here.
we're here.
And you're here, and I'm excited about it. And let me ask you, are you tagged in this?
I believe I am. I done shared it a couple of times and told some
Okay,
people they need
excellent.
to come on and roll on around it. So I
Perfect.
believe.
Perfect. Because I know you got thousands upon thousands of people that would love to see and be a part of this, man. So I'm excited, man. We are in a very unique time. We're coming out or still in. I don't know how to define that. We're kind of coming out, but we're kind of still in this pandemic.
Right, right,
And
right.
things are happening. But at the same time, I've been talking about that we are in fertile ground because of what we have gone through, because there's been so many shifts. People have found that certain things that they depended on, they didn't have to depend on that anymore.
Right.
People found in the midst of the chaos, purpose has been birthed. People have discovered that they have some talents and some giftings. Creativity is always birthed in chaos. And so people are discovering, oh, I got some gifts, I got some talents, I got some stuff that I can do that that I thought time was my delay. And we found out about 2 years ago that time is not really your issue, because when everything shut down, if you still didn't do what you said
Right.
that you were going to do,
Right.
you found out time wasn't an issue. And we're really going to talk about this subject tonight of success. Um, you wrote a book, and we're going to talk about that book here momentarily about success. So I'm going to there's a statement that kind of flows with the book that you wrote, and we're going to jump in here, that Napoleon Hill says. He says success is the success is the progressive realization of a worthy cause. So meaning that success is not a place, just like the book talks about. It's not a place, but it's a journey that we take. So let's speak into this and really get into this. As believers, those that are believers, sometimes our view of success and what we're looking for and our expectations and all that stuff, sometimes it feels like that it's going unmet. It's like we're not getting that thing. So I want you, as we dig in, let's just go in and dive in and dig in. Talk about this success idea.
Man, one of the greatest things that I intentionally wrote is about, like you said, it's a journey, it's a destination, right? As part of my destiny, my progress in what I'm really supposed to be doing. What most people build their success on is materialistic. And that's good to get an emotional hype of it, but it's beyond just one tangible thing.
Mm.
The success approach that we must all understand. Of course, we preach it so we can talk biblical about it, but he's given us a creative measure, right? Chaos bursts out creative activity, and what's
Mhm.
hindering a lot of people from their own success because is their mentality, is their thinking. I used to hate hearing this when I was in school, stinking thinking,
Mhm.
right? Which means
Yeah.
it just provokes a negative condensation on how we process information. And how we process information, what we retract from information, determines the altitude in which we can accomplish. And that retraction connects to our confidence. That attraction connects to our ability to believe in ourselves that this is attainable. And so part of that success doesn't come to us because we don't have the confidence or the belief system that we can do it. And 9 times out of 10, most persons who are not successful does not have someone fueling their passion to get to their success. So success is not a goal, it's my destiny. A goal is something that when I hit it, I quit.
Wow.
Right? I'm satisfied.
Yes.
And if I only place a goal as a satisfactory point, then I'll become lethargic. And what most people don't do, they don't realize that the goal or the peak of their pinnacle of their mountain they're trying to reach is not for you to rest. It's actually for you to take you from one peak to another peak. Because when you get to the peak, P-E-E-K, you'll take a peak, P-E-A-K, to see another P-E-E-K peak that you have not reached yet. So it should be a consistency of me trying to do more, not just in one area of my life, but in every area of my life. And every success that I have should be the fuel to get me to the next level of success, to get me to shift from my now to my next, right? Success is continuation of me shifting from now to my next in an instantaneous moment. And so if we want to deal with success from a biblical perspective, Joshua, of course, he has to pick up the mantle from when Moses died. And the Lord gives him specific instructions. But one of the most things he says to him, he says, listen, this word of the law, this book of the law, I need you to do something. Meditate on it. Here it is, perpetually, day and night.
Yep.
Right? For then you're going to make your ways prosperous and you'll have good success.
The success. Yeah.
So the more I meditate, ponder, resolve in my psychological thinking that this is what I'm going to think about, I create an intentional success and prosperity over my own life.
And that's good. That's good. It reminds me of Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn says, when I find my end coming, I want to find myself climbing a new mountain and not sliding down a slippery slope. Climbing a new mountain, always reaching, because we recognize. Because here's the thing that happens. You talked about when we set a goal and consider that goal success. What happens is we hit that mark and we feel like, I did it. And now what? Now what? And so this is why you'll see people, like even in sports, they'll shoot for the ultimate goal, win the championship. That's the goal. I got to get the championship. I got to get the thing. And they'll win that. And like a boxer, for instance, will win that title. In the next fight, they'll get annihilated.
Right.
Not because the fighter was that much better, but because they reached that mark that they thought was it and didn't realize that was just a part of the journey. In martial arts, we talk about once you get the black belt, that's when you actually start learning. Right. That's not the end of the goal. That's when you actually get to start learning. You can learn. So this is very important for a lot of people that are right here, because you thought certain things are going to happen at a certain age and you had that goal written down and it didn't happen. Or maybe it did happen, because sometimes we always talk about what didn't happen. Maybe it did happen. But now I'm like, now what? Or like I always say, what's next? So that's the thing I think that becomes very difficult for the continual progression of life.
Right.
Speak to that.
See, and another part of that is that when you sometimes the success, your individual success, when you hit a goal, here's what happens. It can become your Achilles heel. Watch this. If I hit a goal and I say, hey, I'm successful, then it becomes a weakness for me because I become lethargic in my next approach. See, every goal I mentor, and I'm gonna give this nugget out to those that may be listening. Every one of my what I call them DOC group mentees, and DOC is a doers only club, is an exclusive intentional statement that I make to them, and that is, if we're going to plan out our 5-year plan or 1-year plan, let's just say 1 year. Well, guess what? Our 1-year plan, the success of it should be fueled by a 9-month success. Our 9-month success targeted goal should be fueled by 6-month success. 6 months down to 3 months. 3 months should be down to 1 month. 1 month should be down for 2 weeks. 2 weeks should be down to 1 week. And 1 week should be fueled by a 1 day success. So as long as I'm planning long-term success for my life, I should place a certain consistency on hitting goals that does not make me complacent with just hitting a goal when it's not the ultimate level of success I want to reach. And so when we do that, we have to focus on how often do I want to walk in a perpetual success. See, because perpetuality is a consistent manifestation of something. So now as I'm doing this perpetual, I got to look at every area of my life, my family, my occupation, my recreation, my money, and my spirituality. And if I focus only on one of those areas, I'm not successful. I'm strong-armed in one area and weak in the rest of the body. But in order for me to maintain a balance of success, I have to be prepared and willing to invest in every area of my life, in my thinking. When I have a thought process and I commit myself to it by verbally affirming what I'm going to do, I'm writing it down, right? My future is what connected to what I write, is to what I connected to what I confess. My future comes to me in those moments. And if I'm passionate enough about it, I will continue to walk down this path. And guess what? I'll eliminate everybody else that's not successful. See, part of the people that's not successful is they take it on the mentality of people who quit in the middle of the process.
Ooh, that's important. And you're taking advice from people who are quitters. I always tell people, don't take advice from quitters. Because here's the thing, people will give you advice. And I've always said this, that people will love you out of destiny.
Man.
Because they're giving you this advice because I love you. I'm telling you this. Because I care, I'm telling you this. But if they don't understand the call, the pull, the thing that's on the inside of you, the call that's on your life, then you got to be real careful with that, because they can love you out of destiny. And then there are people that will advise you based on their last level.
Man,
right? The level they quit on, that's where they advise you. I wouldn't start that business because, businesses are hard. I wouldn't go into that ministry because ministries are tough. I would, and I tried it and it didn't work out for me. And, it was tough and people walked out and all that kind of stuff. And so what you're talking about is key, because you start talking about conversation.
Yes.
When we're talking about success, conversation, in order to keep that fuel and to keep that that thing going. People have asked me, why do you keep pursuing? Why do you keep going to these things and going to these classes and going to these seminars? Why do you keep pursuing? You've done this. You started a church. You've gone for 12, 13 years, and you're still pursuing something else, because there's that continual drive that pulls me. Like when you have momentum, you don't back away from the momentum.
There you go.
In my book, there's a chapter called Lean In, because you lean into the momentum, which then generates more momentum for the next thing that you keep going.
And it'll push you, right? What you're around will push you. If you're in the right vehicle, that right vehicle will get you to the place where you're trying to get to, instead of a broke down vehicle. See, a lot of people, they advise you from them being stranded on the side of the road because they chose to take a cheaper car. See, if you invest in something that is great where you're trying to head, you'll never allow yourself to lose money on something that was never designed to carry you. I say 3 things to people all the time when I'm trying to help them get from one place to the next and shifting their thinking. Don't ask a blind man to interpret your vision. Don't ask a deaf man to validate what you heard, and never allow anyone that is dumb, not intelligence, but dumb, the inability to speak, to proclaim something in your life. Why? Because you're limiting your success, your drive, your passion to people who don't understand from your perspective. What God has released in your life may be similar to someone else, but it's absolutely designed for you to walk in the level of success. And beloved brother, sister, king, brother, queen, sister that's listening to us on tonight, this was a predestined moment for you to hear that the success that he has predestined for you will only come to you when you begin to go after it. All right, so Moses, Exodus chapter number 3. I got to give a couple principles real quick. Moses, in Exodus chapter number 3, the Bible says that he saw something that was different. He saw a bush that wasn't being consumed with fire, and he said, let me go investigate this. Let me go see this. And the Bible says when he committed himself to going and looking at this, then the Lord spoke. See, God will never pre-speak in your audible ears without you making a shift from your now to your next. He didn't realize that his success was on the other side of him turning aside, changing his mind. He could have went down a different path. He could have said, no, I'm not going to investigate that. But there are certain areas in our lives that we reach that God is placing in our path that will spark our interest into what is our next. And when we get to the moment where we meet the place where God has destined us to be, he'll speak everything we need. And it'll overcome every impediment,
Yeah, come on.
disability that we may be struggling with, because flesh or the carnal mind or one who is not confident always looks and says, I cannot do, because of a physical limitation, when really is not the physical limitation, it's the blockage on the thinking process. Because as a man thinketh, right? Come on, he becomes, so is he. And so what we have to do in order for us to get to our now to our next, in order for us to reach our success destination, our destiny that's predestined for us, we got to change our thinking.
Yeah. So listen, I know the folks from Place of Faith going crazy right now because I preached out of Exodus chapter 3 on Sunday. I talked about the bush and the burning, and we went all up in there on Sunday. Yes, that's good. Let's talk about this because you mentioned something key about and I know you were referencing Moses and his stuttering issue, his impediment, his challenge. So God says, go tell Pharaoh. Moses says, I can't because I can't speak. There are so many people that disqualify themselves from going after the thing that God has told them to go after. They disqualify themselves because they look at their defects, right? My defect, I can't speak. I don't have the education. I don't come from the pedigree. I'm not strong enough. I'm too young. I'm too old. All of that stuff. So how do I, knowing I have something that in my mind is a limitation, how do I overcome that and go ahead and pursue that thing that God has for me?
So let's build it on the foundation of Moses right there. Couple of things. He's standing in a place that's called holy ground. He says,
it was all up in that Sunday.
Right. In this moment, it shifts where you're standing at, changes your identity. It now eliminates you from what they said you could be until you manifesting in what he's already saw you predestined for you to be. So as he's standing on holy ground, I'll say this, the space that you occupy, you yield from the strength of. So whatever's happening in that place that you occupy, you yield from that, you draw from that, if you will. So because he was in a holy ground, everything about him became holy. So although he was carnally thinking based on what everybody else has told him, what his past experiences were, it didn't matter, because where he was just shifted to, which was his next, everything that he needed to be successful came with it. See, what you hear in the right place will condition you for any atmosphere you're assigned to change.
What you hear
in the right place,
come on,
will empower you to stand in any atmosphere you've been assigned to change. See, it's on you to not adapt to where you came from. You got to focus on where you're going, and where you're going requires you to shift right now. Right. I heard you say something, man. Last week was on a call, or early part of this week or something like that. You said we move at the speed of our revelation.
That's right.
So at the revelation that we have, that's how quick we change. The system of this world says we have to accomplish so much. But in that moment with Moses, you never hear about Moses bringing up his impediment ever again. When you attach to purpose, the impediments disappear, because you're now fully operating in the purpose where you're supposed to be. So when you shift right now, you won't have to shift later. You'll be able to effectively carry out the purpose and yield the benefits from your labor. You'll have the reward because you decided to shift right now, and that came from your thinking. Stop letting other people define the destiny they never assigned to your life.
Woo, come on.
You got to walk in what God calls you. You got to walk in the mentality that he has for you. And in that conversation, he's changing his whole mind. Hey, man, I heard some things from the people. God's telling Moses, hey, I hear the cry. I see what's going down. I know you're frustrated with it. So now I need you to change it. Why? Because your purpose is connected to what frustrates you. And what frustrates you, when you
Teach,
have the
sir.
solution for it, you now have the ability to walk in the level of success. Guess what? You are the answer to somebody's problem.
Come on. Yes. You are. I love it. I want to go back because you said something that was so key, that if you read through scripture, you never hear about Moses' speech impediment anymore. You didn't hear about that anymore. Like that, once Moses stepped out and just did the thing that God put in him, that God is pulling him into. Once he did the thing, the impediment, the challenge, the issue was no longer an issue. That was no. As a matter of fact, Moses talking about, I have a speech problem, but we see all through scripture Moses talking. Moses talking all through scripture. He was about to disqualify himself from what he thought he wasn't capable of.
Yeah. I want to throw something in right now to just drop.
Come on.
How you speak does not determine what they hear. Even though you may have an impediment in your mind, when you speak under the oracles or the influence of the king, watch what happens. He already knew what your impediment was, but their hearing hears you clearly. Stop limiting yourself to your falls or your failures, because once you stand up and embrace what you've been called to do, they will receive you in the same manner in which you were supposed to present it in the first place. So don't worry about that. Hey, man, throughout the Bible, right? It was the thing, Jesus, it was the thing that Moses calls and said, I have a problem with doing. And Tori, this is maybe about 3 people who has leaned on it as a crutch all this time and how they could not succeed. Guess what? When Moses goes back to thinking about how he speaks, the Lord finally says to him, before Moses is taken off the earth, he says, listen, let me help you overcome what you've been fighting. Instead of hitting now, let me empower you in your speaking. And see, sometimes God has to take us back to our original problem. And sometimes if we're in the flesh, we'll miss the promises because we never overcame the mental block. How come he didn't go inside and physically walk the land? Is because he could not overcome himself. See, when you try to pick up something for yourself outside of the plan of God, your weakness will show back up. That's why you cannot forsake what God has called you to be, what he's empowered you to be, because right now he tried to show Moses, and man, if you just speak to the rock, things will come out. And we got to break from what we've been used to hitting and get to our speaking. And he empowers us to do that, but we got to change our mindset. We got to shift how we think. Every muscle in your body is connected to your brain's functionality. Heart pumps the blood, but your brain tells it, sends the proper signals to what it needs to do. So if I can get you to shut off what you can't do and shut on what you can in your thinking, then your success will cause something major to be in your life on an immediate level, but it comes from your mouth.
Wow. So okay, so now we taking a turn here, and so you're talking about success and your mouth being connected.
Correct.
What you're saying, what comes out of your mouth, out of the life and death is held in the power of the tongue. Could it be that much of our delay and much of our the thing that's holding us back in terms of success is what we're saying out of our mouth concerning not just concerning the world, but specifically concerning ourselves, like our self-talk, what we're saying about ourselves. And because if you look at that, going back to Moses, he tried to talk himself out of it by saying, I'm not good enough. I can't speak.
Right.
You get into so many places in scripture where people were, because God has this weird thing of calling people who don't look like they're qualified for what he's calling them to do.
Correct.
I don't, this don't look like I should be able to do this. You're asking me to go deliver a nation, but I can't speak. That doesn't make sense. You're asking me to go be the father of many nations, but my wife's womb is dead, Abraham. My wife's womb is dead. What do you mean, God? What do you mean? So many. I'm too young to do this. God, don't say you're too young. All these different things. So your self-talk. Let's talk about that. How you speak to you.
Words are spiritual.
Come on.
Although you see my mouth moving based on the comprehension that you're receiving through your ears and the language that we have been growing up in or we've been raised in, which is English, we understand what I'm hearing and I can put the words, but you're not seeing any physical words come out of my mouth, which means they're spiritual. And because we are, watch this, spiritual beings,
come on.
When we release, we're releasing from our true selves in the intent of the image and likeness of our Heavenly Father. Everything in the earth realm, in the atmosphere, everything in the cosmos, as I can hear you saying, has to respond to our words.
Yes.
Right. Our words have authority to create some stuff. The Logos is the thought process of God, right? John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Everything about what was created in the beginning was created by the word of God. So now the words that comes out of our mouth has an assignment to complete. And if we misuse the word, then we will never have the success of the word. It'll only bring what we yield. My mother used to tell me when I was a kid, son, when you pray, whatever you want loosed in your life, you speak it. Whatever you want arrested or bound, then you arrest that every day. Which means now how I speak to me first will determine how myself will speak to the world. If I'm self-checked in my mind, I'll never have the authority to speak in my heart what needs to come out in my life. Okay, guys, every day, hear me clearly, every day, you are birthing something in your life with your words. Here's how. As a man thinketh, spirit, man thinketh in his heart, come on, heart is the female of the soul of a person, so is he. He becomes that. So watch this, guys. When the male, the spirit of thinking, goes into the soul, he lays a seed. And out of the abundance of the heart, whatever is in my heart, the mouth does speak. So when I open up my mouth, everything that's in my mind is already penetrated in my heart, and the seed planted into the egg, and the egg opens up my mouth to release it so that it can manifest in my life. So now whenever I open up my mouth and declare and decree, I'm giving birth to destiny to assign to my life for that day. Day by day, I either can create something major to happen in my life, or I can shut it down. Hear me clearly. Moses was always, the enemy was after Moses's voice. I want y'all to check this out. Even before he was born, there was a decree to kill every male person who have a voice, who was of the Hebrew, who was an Israelite. Kill every male. He got put in the river to go down to Pharaoh's family, right? And it could have been all kind of stuff in the river that while she was out bathing, it could have got him. So certain things I have been after your voice. Why? Because, let me explain this to you. I say this in my book. I'm going to give this one to you for free. The mouth is the oracle used to communicate the verbal, invaluable content of your heart into the ears, minds, and hearts of others for your desires to be comprehended. The mouth is the oracle that will communicate the desires that are invaluable of your heart into the ears and the minds and the hearts of others so that it can be comprehended, which means every time I open my mouth, there has to be a comprehension of what I'm desiring from me, right? Man looketh on the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. So what's in your heart genuinely comes out into your life. That's why David said, thy word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against you. There's certain words and assignments that's in my heart over my life that if I talk wrong to me, I'll produce the wrong thing. But if I talk right to me, I'll produce the right thing. That's why you got to be able to have a daily affirmation, a daily confession, a daily decree and declaration about your life and everything connected to you, because somebody out there is just as frustrated saying, I need to bless somebody. And while you over here referring and declaring and decreeing and affirming yourself that today I'm going to be blessed, you have now put in the atmosphere for your word to go and find the person that's supposed to bless you and arrest you in everything about your life. You got to be able to talk to yourself first before you can communicate to anybody else. So don't self-check yourself. Self-affirm yourself so that you can walk in the things with confidence and intentionality in the 24 hours of your day.
Man, this is so key. Affirm yourself. Here's the thing. I'm gonna say something. This is gonna shock a few people on here today, but I'm gonna say this because we always talk about haters. You know, that's a big word in the world. Haters. You know, don't stop your don't worry about your haters. Let them talk. Let them talk. Here's the truth. Most of the time, we are our greatest hater.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna say that one more time, just so y'all can catch that in the back. We are our greatest hater. Like the real issue is that I'm hating me. And that's what's stopping me. Because really, what other people say about me has no power.
No,
it's what I say about me that has the power. And what happens? The reason this was something that I realized is the reason a lot of people get so bent out of shape about critics and about people who do talk about them is because here's the truth: they're really confirming what you've been saying about yourself.
Yeah,
you've already been saying I'm not good enough. So somebody posts something on social media and says you're not good enough. It just confirms within you what you've been saying about yourself. But if you are saying something affirming about yourself, when somebody else says something about you, it doesn't line up. It won't be congruent with what you've been saying about you. So the more you speak into your life, like you got to get to a place that you can speak into your life. The Bible says that David encouraged himself in the Lord. There was that point. Everybody around him was tripping. Everybody, at one point, he let it get to him. And the Bible says he cried so much that he couldn't even, that nothing, sound wouldn't even come out. The tears wouldn't even come down anymore. Yep. And he put on the ephod and he encouraged himself in the Lord. How do you encourage yourself? By speaking to yourself. I can do this. I can make this. I am a millionaire. I am successful. I am great. I am anointed. I am called. I am who God said, whatever that is. And we got to get in a habit. I want y'all to catch this. I want y'all to hear me. You got to get in a habit of speaking to yourself and speaking into your own life. You got to get in a habit so that the words that people say no longer have power. They can't affect you. What's happening around the world can't affect you. What's going on in your sphere of influence or whatever, it can't affect you because you've already planted the seeds from your mouth. Because what happens is scientifically, when you speak out of your mouth, your unconscious mind catches it faster when you say it. When you say it, that's why they'll have you repeat things, even in school. Repeat this, say this over and over again, because it gets into the unconscious mind. So if you're always saying I'm broke, I'm so broke, oh man, I'm just so broke. The more you say that, and I reject that, as a matter of fact, the more you say that, it is a file that's created in your unconscious mind, and that file is the I'm broke file. Yeah. And so every time an opportunity comes up for you to invest, for you to do something, for you to buy something, for you to become something, for you to have to do something, that file comes up and says, oh, no, you're broke. You can't do that. You're broke. You can't have that. You're broke. You can't go there. You broke. You can't invest in that. You broke. You can't own a house. You're broke. You can't own a car. You broke. That thing that in that unconscious mind. So when the Bible talks about be not conformed to this world, this system of arrangement, but be transformed by the renewing of the mind. So transformation and mind renewal go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
They go hand in hand. And the mind is developed by what you have said out of your mouth and what you continue to say out of your mouth. Talk to me. Come on.
Yeah. See, a piece of that, man, is really in this. Let me give you this nugget. And I'm saying this intentionally because it's in the book. I have a whole chapter in my book on success entitled Speak It, right? And it tells about how your tongue is connected to how you release something. Here's a nugget. Here's a nugget, right? Guys, your peak in life is directly connected to how you speak. Your peak, the maximized highest point in your life of success that you're ever going to attain is connected to how you speak. So that means the proclamation that comes from me has to make sure that my whole life lines up with it. See, whenever you release out of your mouth, your whole body comes into unification of what you just said.
Come on.
I'm sick. Now, every organ in your body is starting to accept I'm being sick, right? When I begin to do some things and I move around, it creates an indifference from me because of what I came out of my own mouth. See, you got to learn that when I'm transformed by the renewing of my mind, guess what? There's a transliteration that comes upon me too. I can't listen to certain words like I used to listen to. I can't accept certain phrases like I used to accept certain phrases because that's from my untransformed mind. But when I am transformed, watch this, renewal is absolute. It's a renewing. It's a refreshing. It's a rebirthing. It's a for me to do it again. And how I learned how to talk was from the experience of the environment that I was in. When I was in a younger child, in a wrong environment, I subconsciously took on those identities. Oh, you ain't nothing but like your no good daddy. You ugly like your mama. And all these things I'm learning, I'm taking in, I'm accepting because it came from a voice that I trusted. Y'all gotta hear what I'm saying to you. And when you come from a voice that you trusted, and even though that source was no good, you took that on as part of your identity. And now you are perpetually thinking that about yourself and passing that on to your children. No, ma'am. No, sir.
Come on.
You have to be able to identify within self. Jeremiah said, great name, by the way, "Below, Father, I'm too young.
Yes, sir.
I can't speak." And what he said in that moment, Jeremiah chapter number 1, he said, stop. You're talking what they told you. You're operating on what they try to train you. So let me tell you this right now. He says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I already knew you. And guess what? I set you apart, ordained you, affirmed you, confirmed you. To do what? To be a prophet to the nations, to speak to the nations. There is a national, international, a global word that needs to come from your mouth that would align the whole world to come under and yield its resources to you. When you speak, when you talk from the place of confidence and assurance, and whom formed you, who've known you, who've been able to deposit into you. He knew the crazy bloodline you was coming from. He knew your mama was going to be crazy. He knew your daddy was going to be crazy, but he gave you a legitimate word for you and those to come after you. See, you got to realize there are itching ears out there that only will be scratched by the words that come out of your mouth, and yours are the first set of ears. You got to realize that when you open up your mouth and decree it and declare it, you're not speaking from just a philosophy. You're speaking from an understanding. You're speaking from a comprehension. You're speaking from a revelation. And once something is revealed, you can never be ignorant of it again. And so what the Father had to do is to show you today that your success, your shift is connected to how you interpret the information that's for you. You cannot allow somebody who has not been through what you've been through to define what God has shown you and told you. You have to first say, nope, it's me. I'm the one that needs to overcome this. I need to remind myself every time that voice of discredit, a voice of discouragement, voice of depression, every time that voice tries to rise up, I have to take authority over it and counteract it with a word of positivity. I got to affirm myself daily. I got to confirm myself daily. I got to connect with, watch this, an agreement partner that's going to remind me when I'm getting off my square what was already spoken over my life. See, sometimes words that are written down can always be erased, but words that are spoken will leave an everlasting impression on somebody's life. And you got to be able to speak to you even in the dark times, in the challenging times, and remind yourself like David did and say, wait a minute, let me change my clothes. Let me change my thinking, because me crying about it ain't going to change it. Me being mad about it ain't going to change it. But let me change myself to get myself together so that I can speak the right thing, have the right conversation with the man upstairs so that he can give me the right revelation about what I'm going to go through right now. So when I change my thinking, I change my speaking. When I change my speaking, I change what manifests in my life. And what I declare and decree for my life is that everything that the Lord has for me to be successful in is going to overtake me, because I'm keeping him first. I'm prioritizing him in my speaking, in my thinking. Watch this. Blessed is the man who walketh not in the conversation of the ungodly, nor stands in the way of the sinner, nor sits in the seat of the scornful, but his delight of the law of the Lord. And in that law, here it is again, he meditate how? Day and night. For then, when I meditate, I'm going to be like a tree planted by the rivers of the water,
yes, sir,
who will produce much fruit in his season, and his leaf will never go wither. What does that mean? The more I'm meditating, the more I'm speaking, the more I'm confirming, the more I'm talking about. Watch this. I don't need nobody to prophesy to me, right? Because if I have his word, then the prophecy shouldn't surprise me. The prophecy only comes to confirm what he already told me, what he already showed me, what he already spoke to me, and then and only then will I receive strength by what I've been talking about myself.
My goodness, man, you just preached the whole series in about 2 or 3 minutes right there, man. That was good stuff. And man, time is flying. So I mean, God, it's like crazy. Time is flying. Y'all, we do this for hours sometimes. We get on the phone talk for 2 or 3 hours.
It's fun. It's fun.
But this time is flying. But I want it, but before we're gonna talk about your book in just a second and how they can get it. But I gotta stop. I gotta go back into this and really deal with what you dealt with. The environment you're in, the people, you're raised in a certain, and this is where your culture teaches you your language. Like it doesn't matter what race you are. If you were born in a certain culture, you're going to speak the language of that culture. I mean, you can be black, but if you were raised in a Chinese home and that was where you came, you will speak Chinese. It's just, that's what you'll speak. It's you speak the language of your culture. And the problem with that is that sometimes we never disassociate from the language of the culture because we're taught this negative language. Negativity is actually natural. Positivity has to be worked for. This is why the media news is so big and so popular, and that's why it's such a big deal. Because they speak the negative language. They understand that most people are negative by language. And so they speak that negative language. And so you talk about not walking in the counsel or the language or the conversation of the ungodly. And I just want to encourage some people that are watching today that if you really want to change your language, you're going to have to change your circle. You're going to have to change the people that you're around, because if your language is if the first word that comes out of your mouth is always something negative, then I can probably put a 99.9% chance that there is a culture of people that you are around that predominantly speak negative, whether that's the people on your job, whether that's some people in your family. Sometimes you have to learn how to disassociate from the language of the culture that you were raised in so that you can speak this new language. Because if you're in cycles of poverty, your language is going to be surrounded by your language is going to be somewhere in there, the cycles of poverty that are in your life. So in order for me to change that, like right now, my wife and I, we're on an aggressive financial goal, very aggressive financial goal. So we have to be very careful to not have conversation and even be in the atmospheres that are talking broke language. Yep. So we will fly across the world to get into a room with people who have a different language, because it causes us to speak. So now what happens is whenever we speak and we start finding ourselves saying stuff that's contrary to our goal, we'll catch it quick. Oh, let me not say that. Let me change that. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm doing. That's not me. That's I can't afford that. Oh, wait a minute. No. I can't. No, I'm not going to say that, because that's automatically going to lock me up. That's going to stop me from being able to get to that. So I just want to encourage somebody on here. You got to get into the culture and into the environment that is conducive and congruent with where you're going. You cannot be talking about I'm going to be a 7-figure entrepreneur, but you're hanging around people that only talk about how much they hate their jobs. And all that's all their conversation is. I got to go to the sorry job again. Here I go again, paycheck to paycheck. They ain't paying me nothing, and all this stuff. You gotta get around people that's talking a language that's pushing you further and closer into your destiny. Like, this is so huge, Pastor Joe. This is so huge. Just this part right here. Somebody came on because they needed to hear this part right here. That your conversation must change. Your language must change. What you are saying to you must change. Stop limiting yourself by your language. Man, that's good. Stop limiting yourself by your language. I see you got something. Go ahead. Jump in. We got a few moments. Jump in.
The language comes from the culture that we came in. You said that so clearly. And hear me say this real quick. Broke culture will never produce mended success. Broken culture, broken language will never produce mended success.
Wow.
You have to have the culture of success to produce success. Y'all hear what I'm saying to you? Somebody out there, you cannot think brokenness and walk in wholeness. It cannot happen, because as I think, so is he. So when I place limitations on me, like you said, Pastor Torrey, when I put limitations on me, that I already set a capacity in which I'm going to grow to. I need everyone to realize that your impact of what you have in your success and what you create for yourself is basically dependent on how you think. Man, so my mind is the absolute key to every door I need open. How I think it. When I'm surrounded by, we've been out to eat plenty of times. Now, see, I don't go out to eat with everybody, because when you go out to eat with everybody, it's somebody, when they broke, they grabbing the receipt. Well, I had one drink that was 12, 13. Come on, man. Listen, that means you don't have a mentality. See, I go over people to where we fight over the ticket. We fight. No, I got it this time. No, I got it this time. That's the mentality I'm around, because I can go to any restaurant and eat fine. Y'all hear what I'm saying? If you're intimidated, stop dumbing yourself down to McDonald's budgets, trying to walk into a Mahogany's, trying to walk into a high end. My mind is the place I have to unlock so that I can see unlock possibilities. Impossibilities are people with a broke culture. Possibilities are people who are in a healthy environment. See, you can only shift based on what you're around. Case in point. I used to run track, right? I used to run track, and as I ran track, I would be I used to want to do cross country, and in me doing cross country, I used to get frustrated because the sprinters would be they'd be off the line, they gone, and I'm like, man, I'm catching up. But then my coach had to tell me something. My coach say, don't worry about them getting further quicker, because in reality, you're going to make it longer. See, certain people are, just because they run, there are different types of runners. You cannot limit yourself and judge yourself to a class that's not on the same class that you're in. See, my endurance was longer. My strength was better. They had quickness because they were conditioned in their mind to do it quick. And most people fail because it didn't happen quickly. Y'all will catch that next time. Most people fail because the culture they was around to say, oh, it's going to come to you quickly. No, I have endurance to get through this. And the race ain't given, according to the Bible says, watch this. I see y'all. The race ain't given to the swift, neither the battle to the strong, right? But it comes to the one that endures. And there's some endurance about your success that you have to go through. There's some endurance about your success that you have to agree with. Right? You have to agree with that. In order for me to come from a broken culture to be right, I have to break the broken culture out of my mindset, detox from it, change my number, change my location, change my availability. Because guess what? When you have access to me, you have access to everything I am. And I found out that when you have access to everything I am, that means you're going to get from me what necessarily I may not want to get. So I got to cut your access off, because every time I connected with you, you're pulling pulling me down. I need to move into the next place in my shift, in my next, from shifting from my now to my next, by cutting off certain people who don't have the culture
My
of
God.
where I'm going. So what I need to do, I need to make sure I'm the weakest person in my circle of friendship, my circle of influence. I'll say that to you again. In my circle that I put myself in, I'm going to be the weakest person. If I'm the strongest person in the circle that I connected for myself, then I'm weak. I need to be the 75% surrounded by hundreds.
Come on.
Why? Because the 75% surrounded by hundreds, those hundreds gonna make me rise up. If I have a group full of 60, 65s, and 55s, and 72, I'm the strongest one. They gonna bring me down. Where you are, watch this, where you are in your atmosphere will produce what needs to come out of your life. So surround yourself in a different environment. Surround yourself in greater restaurants. Surround yourself with avenues of people who've been where you are. So why? Because my mind needs to shift. That's what this weekend, that's what this conversation is about tonight, so that you can shift from your now to your next. This is Shift Live Nation. You got to have the right people around you. I said to myself in prayer, God gave me that this would be the year of divine partnership, divine providence, and divine progress. Those are 3 P's. That's my PPP for the year. It ain't no paycheck protection program. No, it's
I love
providence, partnership, and progression. I'm going to expand because I intentionally shift my mind to do. Iron sharpens iron. You can't get a steel sword and sharpen off a butter knife. Get around from the people that's causing you to become dull, and make sure you surround yourself with the persons who's going to keep you sharp. Conversations like this, master classes like Tori's doing, master classes I'm going to be doing. Make sure you have yourself surrounded by the people who can help push you into your eternal progress.
Man, this is so good. This is so good. We rounding out our time, but man, this so much has been dropped. You talk about being in the right environment. You talk about, all of that, being around people that will push you. I told them one time, Jones, I was out in Florida, and at the table about 30, 40 people or so, and we were eating at a pretty expensive restaurant, by the way, and had steaks and all that. And the guy next to me, Josh is his name, Hopgood knows him. Josh, he says, man, have you played the game? I said, what game you talking about? Played the game. He said, what? He said, everybody throw their card on the table, and whoever's card the waitress picks up, that's who pays for the whole meal.
Yeah.
And I said, what you talking about? what you mean? But here, you said something key. If you're always the strongest person in the room, you need to find another room. If you're always the one you got to get around people that will stretch you.
Absolutely.
And in this season of your life, believers, ladies and gentlemen, this is my encouragement for you. Get around people that will stretch you, that will make you see life like you've never seen it before.
Right.
That'll make you dream like you've never dreamed before. That'll expose you to something that you've never been exposed. That'll expose you to possibilities that you didn't think were possible.
Right.
But when you start seeing it, and you start seeing people that look like you, that are doing these amazing, extravagant things, when you see people that look like you, that have the same backgrounds you have, and they're touching lives and they're impacting people, what it does in you is says, you know what, I can do this. I can do this. And so this has been a phenomenal conversation. Pastor Jones, I need you to talk about 2 things, your book and your class. Let's talk about it. And
listen, guys, it's something major.
How do we get it?
It's something major is taking place. You can go visit me on my website, JeremiahMJones.com, JeremiahMJones.com. This is my new book out. Success is not a goal. It's my destiny. It's a part of who you are. It's intended for you to be successful in every avenue that you can. Go to the website, JeremiahMJones.com, and I promise you can get the book right now on an e-download, and even the pre-order your paperback book copy. And I'm going to sign it for everybody to get something tonight. I'm going to sign it. As a matter of fact, I want to be a blessing to some of you and make sure you get it tonight. Those of you that go ahead and get it tonight is going to be a blessing to you, and I'm going to make sure I sign it for you. Second thing we have is on Friday and Saturday, 2 days is going to change your life 2 days that we're going to change your life. It's the Jeremiah M. Jones Mastermind class, Mastermind Success Empowerment class. It is going to be 2 days, Friday evening, Saturday evening, and it's going to be life changing. You're right here. And we're going to be dealing with 6 things: overcoming mental blocks of failure, creating successful action plans, creating strategies to empower your dreams, unlock a success mentality. Yes, it's a mentality that success resides in, unlocking your potential and your purpose. I said some stuff tonight that what frustrates you is normally what your purpose is connected to, unlocking your financial success. So those of you, VIP, $197.99 for the general. Those of you, $47.99. Here is this what it's going to be for those of you. For one of the first 3 persons that go and register right now, one of the first 3 persons, Pastor Torrey, that goes and register right now, I'm going to give them $500. They can win $500 right now.
I felt
one
that.
of the 3 persons, go register right now and put on there. Make sure you register. Whoever that may be listening to me, go register and copy that receipt. DM me. That's one of the things I'm going to give away is $500. The second thing I'm going to give away for one of the 3 persons in general VIP, general registration for $47.99, I'm going to give $100 away. Yep. You're investing in yourself. And guess what? You might get back double the investment and half the investment. Why? Because you're deciding to invest in yourself. And what I'm going to do, because this is the Shift Live Nation, this is the Shift Live crew, here's what I'm going to do. For somebody that registers tonight, I'm going to randomly select and I'm going to pay for your registration into Pastor Torrey Montgomery's next speaking class, Decree School of Ministry master class is coming up later this month. Every month this year, I'm doing a master class on success, and it's going to be always the last weekend, but every month it's going to be different. It's going to be the same type of master class, but information is going to be different. So for those of you, go ahead real quickly, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on Instagram, make sure you go register, JeremiahMJones.com. You can get the book. You can register for the class. And first 3 people, one of the first 3 people that registers for VIP, you win $500. One of the first 3 people that register for general admission, you win $500. And promise you, it's going to be a blessing. And then somebody out of those 6, if you go ahead and do it, I'm going to make sure you are registered in Pastor Torrey's decree. Take a screenshot, inbox me, and let's go from there.
Wow. So that's powerful. Listen, y'all, investing in yourself is a thing that has changed me and my wife's life. It's changed our life forever when we start investing in ourselves, investing in our future. And it's something that when you have people that God is gifted and given something that can pour into you. You know, Pastor Jones been pastor. How long has the church been around? What, 15, 14?
15 years, man.
15 years. And listen, if you can pastor a church for 15 years, you can conquer the world. I'm telling you that now.
Especially in Oklahoma.
I'm trying to tell you, you can do it. You can make it happen. So I want y'all to listen. Shift Live Nation, jump on in those classes, be a part of those classes. They'll change your life forever. It's just something about making investments in yourself and how it feels, how it makes you feel just when you make an investment in yourself. I want to thank you all for joining today. Me and Jeremiah are going to do this again, so don't worry. We're going to get on, and we are definitely going to do this again. And as you know, I'm going to be bringing in other guests as well. I'm working on a good friend of mine from South Africa. We're working on how we can work the time difference out to bring him in. He's has a company called Wealth Wave. He's a preacher down there that's just shaking Zimbabwe up and all those areas. And so we'll have him on pretty soon. We're just confirming how the time is going to work. And I have some other people that are lined up. But we'll bring Jones back in. I saw Hop on here. We had to bring Hop Good in here. We got so many people. We got so many people that I want you to hear from because my goal is to see you just massively successful. I am done with just doing church and just having church and us not being, let's say, let me back up and say it this way. I'm done with us just being good on Sunday morning in church.
Right.
The rest of our lives, we're struggling and we're barely getting by and we're barely getting through. So listen, everyone, thank you so much for joining. And I'm going to say this, you know how I say it. Your best days are not behind you. Contrary to popular belief, your best days are not even in front of you. Your best days are inside of you. So listen, You go out and unlock the best days of your life, and we will see you all soon. God bless. We'll see you. One thing I've learned is that a lot of people want change. A lot of people want transformation. But the reality of it is that transformation always takes place in the mind. Be renewed in the mind. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of the mind, which means that if there is going to be a shift, there must first be a shift in your mind. There must